What is going on, beautiful people of YouTube? My name is White, and we're gonna hop into some thrift store hunting again today. Second time really since the whole pandemic started. Goodwill with annoying hours. I think they close at either 5 or 6 o'clock now, and so much of the hunting I used to do was in the evenings after work and after things kind of settled down. I don't like to come out during rush hour. So it's about 3:40. We're gonna pop into this one. We're gonna go to another Goodwill on the other side of town, and then I'm gonna pop into Bookman's. I have about $25 trade-in credit. I might buy an item either for the game room or maybe do another little giveaway. So anyway, let's hop into this Goodwill. I'm gonna bring the camera around. I'm gonna get as much footage as possible. If you guys enjoy the game hunting content, drop a like right now. Don't even think about it, drop a like. Really helps the channel out. I'm kind of relearning YouTube. I'm relearning game hunting. Been a really bad year for uploads, but I'm trying to get back into it. If you guys can drop a like, it's a huge help for the algorithm and for other people to see the videos. I appreciate it. I love you guys. Let's hop into Goodwill. So heading into Goodwill, I always head straight to the sporting goods section, looking for tennis rackets, helmets, sometimes golf clubs, maybe to add to my own personal collection. And to look at the board games here, this is where a lot of my good finds, probably the last year, have come from. We had those Warhammer figurines. We're getting ready to get put out here in this area last time I came to this Goodwill. And here we can see a big box PC game, The X-Files. This is straight out of the late 90s. If you guys were alive at the time, you remember how big this show was. And Mulder and Scully ultimately, I think, ended up going nowhere as far as answers are concerned. It went the route of Lost. And you can see that the DVD and video game collection has really expanded at this Goodwill. Loving how much bigger it's gotten over the last couple of years. We can see some Xbox 360 games here. A decent selection, definitely a decent amount of games and some quality titles. Of course, 360 doesn't have a lot of value. And I actually end up picking up this Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I'll show you guys why in the pickup recap. But it's basically to complete a collector's edition still case that I got recently. So we can see Assassin's Creed 3 here. These Walmart editions, this is the generation they started to kind of have the special motivation to buy it at certain stores. And I always keep an eye out for certain NCAA games. They got discontinued in the early 2010s, and some of those last versions of those games have a lot of value when you can find the right ones. And then we have a Toy Story, I guess, sing-along or a read-along. I don't know what this thing was. I didn't bother looking it up. But it's DVD, so probably not going to be too much value. And for whatever reason, more and more people are collecting VHS tapes. So I always come through the VHS section and look for kind of schlocky, low-budget horror movies and some of those goofy, really kind of obscure titles. This is a DVD, actually, with Chuck Norris on the front, just to see if there's anything of value on eBay. Maybe rare movies that some of those guys that collect really want to trade you for or want to buy from you. And The Indian in the Cupboard, films that probably would not be made today. I remember having this as a kid. It came with a little plastic Indian and a key, and you could like lock the Indian inside of the VHS box. And yeah, I don't know how politically correct that would be in 2020. We're probably not getting a remake. And Small Soldiers was a really interesting action movie, also with a negative portrayal of Native Americans. And here's probably the coolest find of the day, at least at this Goodwill: big box PC games. A bunch of point-and-click adventure ones. Here we can see Adventures of Time. This is a trilogy, I believe, and this is the third one. And we can see those classic kind of pre-rendered CD-ROM live-action cutscenes that we got in a lot of those PC games. This is the very first PC game I ever owned. I actually still own this game, big box. It's at my parents' house along with Trespasser Jurassic Park. But this is the game that kind of started it all for Tom Clancy games. Squad-based shooter. I remember you could give commands to your other squad mates as far as orders and stuff. Probably has not aged well. I remember playing this game somewhere. I always saw it on store shelves as well. Another point-and-click adventure with like pre-rendered, kind of, I don't know, pre-rendered parts of the map as you walk around. And in that reality, you're able to get some really good graphics.
very similar to this, sequel to Miss Riven. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Another game with fantastic graphics. I remember seeing this at the Scholastic Book Fairs at my school. They would always come and try to advertise these Myst games. We ended up getting one of the first like three, and I actually got told by a Goodwill employee I had to use a cart. I was trying to set my games in one area, so first time in history I used a cart at Goodwill. We can see an Xbox 360 controller in pretty good shape here. $5 probably not going to be for me, but maybe a 360 collector would want that. And some ghetto monitors. I'm always coming in looking for the 1080p monitors. And it's weird to see Blu-ray players for $5. It seems like just yesterday the technology was coming out at Best Buy. And here's a soundbar. Would be a good buy, but $50. If it was really cheap, I would have picked this up.
So solid trip to that Goodwill, a couple finds. So I'll show you guys everything at home. I got a bunch of those big box PC games. I'll show you guys what actually comes with them, what's inside. Let's head to another Goodwill. Let's head to Bookman's and see what else we can go. See if we can keep this momentum going. That's actually 2 trips in the last month with stuff purchased at this Goodwill. When you consider that I've gone hundreds of times without anything, that's really good ratio. I don't know if the management is getting lax or if there's less people shopping or I don't know. Maybe it's just been luck, but let's pop out there and see what else we can find at the other Goodwill. And I'm sure Bookman's will have some stuff. Maybe they'll even give me trade credit for some of this items I bought. But I definitely want to show you guys what's inside of them. These big box PC games are so cool. Let's get back out to it.
So after, I'm not kidding, waiting in line, I finally got inside of this second Goodwill. And as you can see, a much smaller board game section, much more crappy stuff in my opinion. A lot of these games not complete, just kind of thrown in there. And we can see some Patriots, I guess, Build-A-Bears. Interesting, but they were pretty worn out, especially for being new. And I wonder if there's a lot of new bandwagon Padres fans. They made the first playoff run in like 25 years as a franchise. Really cool stadium, though, if you haven't been. And I cannot tell you how many of these things I saw in the late 90s. I think everyone's grandparents had one of these, and like Microsoft Flight Simulator 95. Here's another look at one of these really cool peripherals. Again, you just always saw these in the 90s for people that were adults that played games. They seem to always own these. And a Mickey Mouse clock. I end up picking this up. It's $5. It is missing a glass dome over it, but this Disneya, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Disneya is really popular. It's a fever pitch collection, and we can see Larry Legend still playing in the NFL. He's got to be 95 years old by now. Still producing, though, kind of a hero here in Arizona. And a Twilight New Moon puzzle ball. Kind of a cool little concept, at least. Angry Birds Star Wars. Apparently you build a Death Star, and I don't know if you actually fling things at it or what. Hopping into Bookman's after a bad trip at that Goodwill. We could see some Switch games, but guys, right now is not the time to buy retro, at least at a retail store. The market is absolutely insane. Looking at some posters, always looking to kind of switch out the poster in the background of my game room. Might be getting a neon light in the near future. But the prices in here were, everything's like basically double where it was at. And this Star Wars PS3. So let's go ahead and get involved in the pickup recap. As you guys can see, I put this little Squirtle inside my gaming PC. I think it looks awesome there next to the LED lights. So here's why I got the Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I had the Steel book. I got it at that second Goodwill a few months ago, actually probably prior to pandemic even, and picked up this for I think it was $4. I think all these games were $4. I'll show you guys what the back looks like, and I'll show you guys what the contents inside the case are like. Again, really, really beautiful graphics, and I think these point-and-click games really aged well. There's something you can still turn on and play today. Really cool graphics and kind of a cool little puzzle element. Very, very, very slow-paced. I'm sure kids that grew up with iPhones and stuff in their hands wouldn't even be able to appreciate this. And a strategy guide this guy printed up in 1998. It's crazy to see something off of the internet from over 20 years ago. Another game I picked up, Riddle of the Sphinx. I think there was either a sequel to this or this was the sequel. Again, another point and click game with really good pre-rendered graphics, and like puzzles to solve. I don't remember if these were spooky in any way. I think they were just pleasing on the eyes. Back when we had CD-ROMs and the inside of the box, nothing too cool. I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping for a lot more of these inserts, because these are the things that I really like to look at to really set you back into the 90s. And here we go, Legacy of Time. This was the really cool one. I think this might have been an import, but again, this was part of a trilogy, and the same kind of concept, point and click adventure. So I'm gonna guess this person was probably an adult. We can see the live action cutscenes that looked so goofy, because we just didn't quite have the power to show them off. Again, this was CD-ROM, and the one that always reminds me of that is the Command and Conquer games with the just completely goofy live action cutscenes between games. So this is where things get weird. It looks like this is a pirated version of this game. You can see just CD-ROMs with people wrote in with pen. I didn't check any of these before I checked out a Goodwill, but interesting to see a pirated version in a real box with all the inserts. I'm not really sure what happened with this. Maybe it was an import. I don't know. Let me know what your theory is in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you guys, especially you big box PC collectors that have a lot more knowledge than me. And hopping on board with this X-Files, a really cool kind of transparent box here. And again, in the 90s, this show was just gigantic. Thinking back to the 90s, the two shows I really think about are the X-Files and Friends. At least from the eyes of kind of a kid in that generation. You can see this file they have for all the discs to get really sorted into. Really cool display. And this game came pretty complete, instruction booklet and everything included. Looking at this Disney clock, as you can see, we had a sold listing for $40 after shipping in September. It does work, but again, I'm missing like that glass dome that goes on the outside. I'll probably try to sell this just to get some money. I really wanted to get anything of value at that second Goodwill because I had to wait in so many lines. I think I was in there for like an hour total, so hopefully I can get at least some cash out of my trip. And we'll get one more quick look at all the pickups. Really fun, exciting day of game hunting. If you guys can slap a like again on the video, it does mean a lot to me, and I'll be back with another video in the very near future. I'm going to try to get more content up. Take care, guys.